All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Obama, for those wonderful words of inspiration. My name is Beth Lynk. As was mentioned, I am the executive director of When We All Vote. When We All Vote was founded by Mrs. Obama 6 years ago to change the culture around voting, to increase participation in each and every election, and to close the race and age voting gap. And we're really excited to be doing that alongside Essence as we launch the Essence Voting Squad this weekend, and in partnership with our myriad of talent ambassadors and partners across the country to get the word out about getting registered to vote and getting ready to go. So with that, I am really excited to be joined by my squad today and our incredible panelists who I'm going to introduce. So first, we have Nikole Hannah-Jones, who is the esteemed creator of the 1619 Project and the Knight Chair in Race and Journalism at Howard University. Thank you, Nikole. Our next panelist is Brittany Packnett-Cunningham, the social innovator, activist, founder of the social impact strategy firm Love and Power Works, and the host and executive producer of the Undistracted podcast. Thank you, Brittany, for being here. Our next panelist is Flau'jae Johnson, who is the part of the LSU Tiger winning women's basketball national champion team. In addition, Flau'jae just released a new album with Lil Wayne about a week ago, and I think a new podcast this week. So very busy, stays very busy. Our last panelist and we'll round out our squad here is Raina Roberts, the Princess of Outlaw Country. Many of you may know Raina from Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album and have fallen in love with her through her Bad Girl Bible album as well. So thank you all so much for being here. All right, well, I'm just going to kick right into it because what an esteemed group and an incredible assortment of folks here today. Nikole, I want to start with you just to kind of contextualize why we're here. The name of this panel is Our Vote, Our Voice, Our Power. Some people might question the name of this panel and say, you know, I feel hopeless or I don't know if my voice has power. Can you contextualize for us, how did we get here today in the state of the world? And what does history tell us about the power of organizing and voting to change this country?
Sure. So how much time do I have? Just playing. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for all the work that you do. So let's just be clear. The voting is the most fundamental right in any democracy because voting is what determines all other rights that we have. I think I can understand people feeling apathy right now, people feeling, really disenchanted with our political system. But the fact is, if we didn't have power, they wouldn't be working so hard to take it from us, right? They wouldn't be working so hard to suppress our vote. And particularly people in this audience, Black women, who we know in Georgia, who we know in Philadelphia, who we know in Detroit, who we know in Wisconsin, helped save democracy in the last election, and we're being called on to do it again. How we got here is we're a country where rooms like this were never supposed to determine elections, right? We were founded on ideals of liberty, but that those ideals would only apply to white men. They were not to apply to Black people. They weren't to apply to women. And so we're in the middle of really a kind of fundamental battle over whose America is this going to be, what will America look like, and who will exercise power in our democracy. So that's how we got here, is when we know 60 years ago, we finally became as close to democracy as we had with the passage of the Voting Rights Act, that put into play this fundamental fight over whether we would be a multiracial democracy or continue to be a democracy for one racial group, which are white people. And that's why it's our duty to really fight to sustain the rights that our ancestors fought so hard for us to get.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Brittany, I'm going to go next to you. And, you're such a leader at the intersection of culture and justice. You're also often speaking truth about issues of the day in a way that really resonates with us. I know I was at a dark place last Friday with some of the Supreme Court rulings, and you went off on your podcast and really spoke truth. And so, I think in this social media environment, when folks are feeling maybe less empowered to be able to talk, or fearful maybe to talk about political issues or to engage, their community, what are some advice about how folks should think about, really resonating, engaging with their community about the issues and everything that's going on right now?
Well, hey, family, how you doing? Y'all doing all right? It's good to see everybody. Y'all look good. You smell good. Melanin is everything. Nikole really started off the conversation reminding us that if we did not possess so much power, if our votes weren't game-changing, if our organizing did not shift entire worlds and birth nations, then people would not be so committed to stopping us, right? And if somebody will stop at nothing to block, steal, move, undermine our power, then not only am I going to say it's important that we know we have that power, I'm going to say, how dare we not use it? Because how are you going to know something more about me than I know about myself, right? The beautiful thing, though, about Black power is that it is not the same as the kind of power that white supremacy culture preaches to the West, to America, right? They think of that power as extrinsic. It's coming from the outside as somebody is awarding it to me, or I'm earning it some kind of way, and that power is finite, that there's only so many pieces of pie to go around. Black folks, though, we understand that power is not something that white folks can give to us and not something that white folks can take away. That it comes from the inside in everything that we've got. It's our ancestry, it's our spirit, it's our community, it's our collectivity. And so the power that we have to exercise in this moment is standing fully in that, and doing so when it is inconvenient, right? It's easy to choose silence when you are worried about the consequences. And let's not act like there aren't consequences when we speak up. I know y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. There are consequences to when we speak up. But let me remind you that whatever check, whatever proximity, whatever approval you got is temporary, because they will dump Black folks as soon as we become inconvenient. And we're Black, so we're always going to be inconvenient. So we might as well go ahead and speak up if you're not going to like what I have to say anyway, right? And in doing so, I think that it's important that when we talk to folks, that we don't just say, go vote. I don't know about you all, but nobody ever condescended me into doing anything. We actually have to talk to people about why. We have to acknowledge why people are feeling disillusioned. We have to acknowledge why people are like, yo, this system wasn't built for me, so why participate in it? Say, baby, I understand how you're feeling, and let's talk about some of this, right? Condescension doesn't work, but love does. Sharing with people the why, right? Going and reading the 900 pages of Project 2025 together, right? I know y'all nonpartisan, but it's just a thought of something you should do. And recognizing that when we tell folks why, we have to help them understand the vote in a way that we've not talked about it. We tell everybody that a single vote, a single election will save and fix everything. That is a lie. We have to stop telling it. The truth is, and Nikole and I were talking about this earlier, your vote is a strategic weapon in setting the conditions for your next battle. So your vote is you being the coach, right? I hope I don't get none of this wrong. Your vote is you being the coach. As the coach, it is your responsibility to build the team that's going to put the W's on the board, right? So I want to make sure that I get a Flau'jae. I want to make sure that I get an Angel Reese. I want to make sure that I'm getting everybody that I need, from the from the front office all the way to the workers, the fans, the other coaches that are there with me. I want to make sure that I'm building the entire team, not just a franchise player, but an entire team to keep putting up W's on the board. That's what an election is. We need to stand in the coach's seat, because there's no reason why they should know we have power and we don't use it.
Thank you, Brittany. I think with that incredible metaphor, Flau'jae, I'm going to turn to you, and you obviously have a lot of eyes on you all the time, whether it's on the court or in public as you're engaging in music and elsewhere. when you're talking to your teammates, to your fans, and to your community and family, what are the issues that are resonating most with folks, and what are really kind of most motivating to your community?
I mean, issues. I mean, there's countless issues, right, in the Black community, right. In my city, it's a lot of violence, but it stems from poverty, right, and the downfall of the Black community. And for me, it's deeper, right. That's why I'm on this panel, right, because I do have a lot of young girls and young guys who follow me, and I have to tell them. And I have to repeat it multiple times, like, your voice matters, right? And for me, I try to use my voice for the voiceless because I know I'm confident enough to walk on the stage and say what I want and don't care about the consequence, you know what I mean? But a lot of people aren't, right? That's why we have panels like this to talk about it. I mean, it's for me, it's the violence. My father, he was gunned down before I was born in front of his recording studio in Savannah, Georgia, right? And I finally acquired that building. I'm going to build a resource center in my city of Savannah. But, thank you. But, like, the whole point is that we have to use our resources, right? We have to use our thoughts. We have to use our power and our brain in order to make a change. I feel like I was a real history head, right? So, like, voting for me, like you said, right? Why would we not do something that they try so hard to take away from us? Why would we not do it? I was reading the history books back then. They were trying to trick us. They were trying to trick us at the voting ballot. Am I wrong? No. They were trying to trick us out of voting, right? And so for me, I mean, as a competitor, that gives me an edge. Like, oh, yeah, I got to go do this. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And yeah, so I know you asked me another question, but for me, voting is so important, right? It's going to be my first time that I'm really able to vote, right? I'm finally, yeah, thank you. I'm super excited. I was looking back there like I can finally go do it. But no, like, it's important for me, right? And it's important for so many young boys and girls to know that it's not just old people saying it. Because no offense, y'all, like, they ain't really listening to y'all like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't not really listening to y'all. But, you know, for somebody like me, they'll be like, dang, like, Flajay, she think that's cool. Okay, I'm going to go read into that. I'm going to go do that. So that's why it's so important for me, love y'all so much, to use my platform, you know what I'm saying, amplify what y'all saying, because I definitely understand and I see the change that need to be had. So I believe that, like, just being like a voice for the voiceless is just so important. I think that's what we missing in our community, just the important information, right? Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being that leader in your community and also reminding us of our power. All of us might not be able to buy a building, but we can make change, right? And hopefully we can all buy a building at some point, right?
At some point, but that's just like using social media.
Right.
You ain't got to buy a building. Not everybody got the resources, but you can use your phone. Right. You can use free resources that could tap into other things. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just using what you got.
Oh, our voice, our power. Raina, I'm going to turn to you. And, you are one of our newest members of our voting squad. Thank you so much. And, one of the things, I know we had a chance to chat a bit at Blavity House Party, and was what inspires you to make your voice heard, to raise your voice on an issue like voting, and to find your voice on this important issue?
Well, thankfully, my parents have always instilled in me that my voice matters from the beginning. And so thankfully, I didn't have to kind of combat like, oh, do I want to vote? Do I not? It's always been like, you need to say something. You believe in something, you got to say it. And also, it's like the sacrifices that everybody has made up until this point, our ancestors, all the work that they've done to get us here, it would be, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost disrespectful to not take the advantage. And they did so much hard work. How could we not do something, I don't want to say as simple as voting, but like,
you're right. Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to,
no,
that's the best way I can articulate it. And thankfully, my parents have always told me, like, you have to make sure that you speak about what you believe in. And even if it's something that people don't agree with, whatever's in your heart, you have to make sure that it's known. And to not say something, to not vote, to not do your part that ain't right.
No, thank you so much. I have one more question for, the time permitting for this incredible panel. I will also say, maybe this is a sign that I need to go red because this amazing redheaded panel, I absolutely adore. One of the things, we talked about some of the issues that motivate us all. And you think about what is on the ballot this year. Abortion's on the ballot, reproductive rights more broadly. We know that climate change is on the ballot, that our ability to care for ourselves and our families and to be able to afford what we need to do so, and issues of the economy, violence, gun violence, all of that is on the ballot this year. Sometimes that weight can feel overwhelming and it can feel disheartening. So my question to each of you is what gets you motivated to keep going, to keep fighting, and to keep pushing? And what keeps you motivated to make sure that you're raising your voice, you're exercising your power in this moment? Nikole, I'll start with you and we'll just go right down the line.
Okay, listen, I never struggle for lack of motivation. My grandmother, Arlena Tillman, was born in 1924 on a sharecropping farm in apartheid, Mississippi. She could not vote. She could not give birth in the public county hospital because black women were not allowed to give birth in that hospital. So to me, I have a duty, I have a debt to repay to my direct ancestors and my collective ancestors. And as you said, everything our ancestors went through, it is easy. What we're being called to do, it doesn't mean it's not hard, it doesn't mean there's not a struggle, it doesn't mean you don't have your down days, but what we're being called to do is to protect the rights that our ancestors fought and died for us to have. And trust me, y'all, listen, these folks are not playing out here. They have a strategy for all of our lives. We can either be bystanders or we can be resistors, but we have a choice. So take your moment. Sometimes you have to have a day, you have to take a pause, you have to say, I'm hard, I'm struggling right now, but the next day we all are obligated to get out there and fight because they're coming for us, they're coming for our children, they're coming for the women in our community, they're coming for the men in our community. They are trying to take away the rights that our ancestors died for. So we should never lack for motivation. I never do.
I couldn't agree more that my ancestors absolutely motivate me, especially recognizing that we come from a people who freed themselves. No matter what you read in the book, we freed ourselves. And if they can do that, then certainly we can punch a ballot. I also think it's critically important that I'm hype about this election in particular because there might not be another one if we're honest about it. And I want to make sure that I show up to make sure that there is another one and another one and another one. But the last thing I'll say is that I'm angry. I have plenty to be angry about. We know that to be black in America, as James Baldwin reminded us, is to be in a rage all the time. But I honor that my rage is righteous. I honor that it is holy and sacred and that people don't get to tell me that I don't get to have it just because it scares you. Black rage should scare you because what we're doing to change the world will shift everything for everybody. So you can either get on board or you can move aside. But I'm gonna honor my rage and I'm gonna use it in a disciplined way to always take action.
Yeah, I would say, like, what motivates me is I have 4 younger brothers, young black men, right? And I was like, how do I want their lives to be, right? What do I want them to endure? And what do I want them to see me stand up for, right? Like, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So for me, my motivation is just being the best example that I could be to them, right? Because I want them to be people that stand up for what they believed in, that speak on what's wrong, that help people, that are kind to other people. And I want them to grow up in a world that reflects that. And I feel like if we don't change our circumstances, it won't. So that's my motivation. And I know it ain't easy every day. Like, life is hard. Folks got bills. Folks got kids. Folks got real problems. But, like, make this a priority. It's just about what you make a priority. And I think just the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? That's what should motivate you.
To be honest, when I think about my family and my nephews, it's exactly what you said. They're like 3, they're 4, and I'm like, what kind of world are they gonna grow up in? Because we're going to dictate and shape that by using our voices and making sure we always I don't want to say it that way. Sorry. Basically, leaving the world in a better place than where it's at now, and only we have the power to change that. And then also I think about like what my mom's went through, what her mothers went through, what her mothers went through, especially with gun violence and all the murders in our family. It's like, how do we stop that cycle by using our voice?
ain't gonna lie, y'all, I'm scared. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, I know y'all reading the stuff that I'm reading, and I really can't believe, like, this is real life. Like, I can't believe that this is something that is actually happening. So if that don't motivate you, you know, a little bit of fear, right? Like, this is not a joke. Like, it's our livelihood. Like, you know what I'm saying? So do your part, go out and vote, and take somebody with you. I'm bringing my whole friend group.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And thank you for that, because I think, you know, one of the things that inspires me and motivates me is that this year in 2024, 34 million Black people are eligible to vote, right? And so if we make sure that we are registered, we are getting out there and voting, and then if each of us engages 3 people, so we're partnering with Essence, you can join the Essence voting squad, and it will ask you to reach out to 3 people in your community. That's the baseline. You can reach out to many more than that, but bring 3 people along with you. Think about your family. Think about your group chats. Make sure they're registered. Make sure that they vote. Together, we have so much power, and as we heard from our incredible panelists here, our voice is our power, and we have to raise our voice. We don't have a choice this year. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and thank you again. Let's hear it again for this amazing group of women.